Welcome to the Salt Circle Podcast. My name is Hank. With me, as always, is Ben.
Maybe someday I'll get to do the intro.
I mean, you've done the intro like once. I let you do it, I think.
Did I? That doesn't sound right.
I think I
gaslighting
had
me
you
right
do it
now?
once.
I don't know if I believe you.
I think I had you do it once. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, you had
But
me
yeah.
do it. You let me do it. I see how
Yes,
it is.
'cause I think I
see
didn't-
how it-
I think-
I see how it is.
I think I sprung it on you. Like, I didn't tell you we were going to do that beforehand or anything. Just like, do the intro.
I mean,
Do
that
it.
That sounds right. What I will introduce is our new book of the month. If that's
Yes.
yeah, book of the month. Yeah.
Book club.
Going
Salt
from-
Circle Book Club.
the salty books. We're going in the complete opposite direction of the monstrosity that we read last month. This month we are reading the first book of the Bible, Genesis.
Yeah, man. We're showing our range here.
Yeah.
We got range. We're raining threes.
We'd previously talked about, going through the Bible just from a literary standpoint.
Literary perspective,
And-
yeah.
Decided that maybe the book of the month shouldn't be the entire Bible. So now and
No.
again, if we get the Bible on our random generator, we'll do a book. Or maybe if we feel like doing one, There's a lot of
Never know.
books in the Bible, as it turns out.
There's a lot. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And Genesis is a wild one.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that'll be fun.
Yeah, so as usual, this is the announcement, and then on the last week of the month, we will talk about it.
But yeah, we're talking about Season 2 of The Wire today.
Whoa.
It's a whole nother thing.
It had more than one season. Shows have multiple seasons.
It's true. Wire had a whole 5 of them.
Wild.
Wild.
So, I guess like right off the bat, I'm curious where you put this, like kind of on a ranking system, I guess, in comparison to the other Wire seasons.
Mm-hmm. There are times when it's been my favorite. I think it might be like third favorite at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. Just because 3 is fucking wild, and 4 is like I think it's hard to argue against 4 being just the best
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of ways. But also because my dad's like a English teacher, the
Yeah.
part where that gets into school stuff is closer to me.
Yeah, 100%. I think 2, at least right now, like having only gone through the series once, I think 2 is my least favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, I mean, for this show in particular, that almost means nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
Uh-huh. Yeah, no. Like
it doesn't
season 1 is
actually matter, but
Season 1 is my least favorite, mostly just because it hasn't yet expanded beyond that initial set. Like, just because it's laying groundwork.
Yeah.
Like it's like fucking pouring concrete into things, and then they put stuff on top of that in later seasons. So I think it's like a more complete thing.
Sure.
But,
yeah.
yeah.
No, I was just curious. Yeah. So, second season focuses on the docks,
Yes.
shipping docks, and
Shipping docks, the shipping union.
yeah, and we focus on Frank Sabatka. I'm questioning my pronunciation of that name, right? Sabatka?
Yeah.
Frank Sabatka.
Sabatka.
And his shipping boys, including his son Nicky and his nephew Ziggy. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Ziggy is his son. You got it backwards.
I did.
Yes.
Fuck. I was so. Okay. Well.
Ziggy is the fuck up. That's his son.
Yeah. 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 Okay.
Nick is his nephew.
Okay. All right. Yeah. It's yeah. I haven't just like I just went like and refreshed myself, so it that shouldn't happen, but you know it will.
Shit happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is being the second season, this is sort of setting the precedent that will continue of every season like expanding out the scope of the show and focusing on new stuff. So we have a lot of new characters with this whole shipping world. But also the show doesn't forget about the characters it had before, even though they're less important. Like we still get Avon and D'Angelo in jail. We still get Stringer stuff. Like we haven't. We also haven't left behind the stuff that's not the focus for this season, but it is part of the larger world of the show still.
And I think that might be why this currently is kind of my least favorite season. It feels like a lot of the characters we're introduced to, at least more so than other seasons, just kind of like just sort of leave them behind a little bit. Like it certainly is setting up stuff that, you know, that comes back later, but as far as like,
and I think I think the start of the season is the most jarring in terms of large number of new characters introduced and how much of a focus that the new thing is. And it hasn't been established for you to expect that in ways you have with other seasons, but like, because like even when we go to the schools in season 4, like we're bringing in characters that we've seen from the police world into it is part of our way in. Like there's a softening of that.
Yeah.
There's no softening here. It's just a lot of new characters.
Yeah, just totally throws it at you.
Because we've got the shipping yachts and we've got that whole drug criminals that they're working for. Yeah. The Greeks in heavy quotes.
Yeah.
They only know me as the Greek. I'm not actually Greek.
Yeah. I really love them. Like I kind of like that. I mean, it's a love-hate thing. So we have these, really mysterious suppliers, I guess. Exporter, or would it be? They're importing stuff, I suppose.
Yeah.
They import stuff through the shipyard, and this is, a little supplemental income for our shipping boys. Or at least the ones that are involved. The ones that know.
It's mostly like the thing that makes the season is Sabatka is running this, agreeing to this, not because he's like just wants to get money. He's trying to save his the whole dock union and trying to like he's funneling a lot of it into
political contributions.
Yeah.
And like helping
why am I
out
blanking on the turns.
On what?
And help the term lobbyists. That's what I was looking for. Lobbying.
Yeah.
And doing political dealings. And this is kind of part of what sets a lot of this stuff in motion. So he's completely gotten involved in criminal business, not just because he thinks it's the right thing to do. Like, he thinks this is the only way to save his people, basically.
It's the best chance of getting the docks back on their feet. And there's and what the hell is the thing? The grain something? I forget the exact term. It's like a grain dock.
I know the thing I remember is that Sabatka, the thing he's really trying to get is to get the canal, the channel deepened. Yeah, to get it dredged so that bigger ships can come to that specific dock, because that's part of the reason they're not getting as much work is the business has shifted to these bigger boats that can't actually dock at this dock anymore because it's too far inland.
Yeah.
So he wants to get the canal dredged so that they can get those big ships.
Mm-hmm. And there's
It's like the main thing.
There's a really good, I don't know when exactly in the season it is. You go to like a presentation of sorts, I suppose, and they're like demonstrating all these new like automated systems.
Ah,
And I don't know. It's nice that, like, as we talked about when we were discussing season 1 and stuff, this show is set like very much in its time period, but it's just that's a topic I've always found interesting, is like automation and all that stuff, and it's just both interesting and nice to see how relevant that still is. Like, that's a huge thing, obviously.
yeah.
So that, like, I don't know, I love that bit, that debate. So many good implications, but also so many terrible implications for guys like that.
It's like, there are jobs we just don't need anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't exist.
Yeah.
Boop. Gone. But so, yeah, and one of my things with The Wire, is like, if you look at it as how it's structured, in the tragedy of it, is kind of every season is about some character seeing how this world is wrong or something and trying to do something about it. The way The Wire works as a drama is there's a character who tries to like make a stand against something. And this season, that character, the first season it's McNulty. This season it's Frank Sabatka, is like the character of the season who's trying to do something.
Meanwhile,
Trying to change his world, and it fails, and he dies. Like, it doesn't go well for him.
Yeah. Meanwhile, McNulty is just being even more mischievous. Like, that whole like introduction to him is amazing. Like, I'm going to go the extra mile to make Rawls' life hell.
Gotta really figure out where this was.
Oh my god. So
good.
Basically, they find a body. He's on the Marine unit. They're on a boat.
Yeah.
He's
on the boat.
They find a body, and it goes to depending on where the body was found, where it dropped initially, all this stuff, like it's a different area's jurisdiction, and he goes above and beyond to prove that it's it's Rawls, the homicide department's, like, it's their jurisdiction.
Yeah. Because McNulty, above all else, is an asshole.
Yeah. And then later it gives them another, 13 Jane Does? Or no, like another 12, and it's 13 total.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, that's such a... So that's the other side of the investigation, where it's these 13 dead bodies that end up getting tied back into this dock.
Yeah. And which of course comes back to Frank Sabatka, because they're the shipping containers found on his dock.
Yes.
And found out a place on his dock.
Yeah.
Deal broke.
So, the other side of the investigation for this season comes about for the pettiest of reasons.
Oh my god.
Because Sabatka, again, has been throwing around political money trying to get influence, and this runs him up against I can't remember his name. Yeah, Valchek.
Is he the commissioner? No, he's not commissioner. He's something else. He's like below that, but he's still really high up. He's high enough in the police force to have a shitload of pull, and people basically suck him off because he's important.
He's a commissioner of the South.
Oh, it is commissioner.
Southeastern District.
Okay. He's Prez's father-in-law?
Father-in-law. Yeah, father-in-law. And he's just like, he's gotten together some funds to make a new window for the church, and only to find out that someone else has already bought a bigger window
A
for that
giant
church.
fucking window for the church.
And it turns out that person was Frank Sabatka.
Hell yeah.
So
No, he's
Valchek,
just like, I know he's dirty. We're gonna get him for anything.
I gotta get him. It's all petty revenge. 'Cause he had a bigger window.
Not even
And then
bigger,
that-
just that he had one in the prime spot.
Yeah, it was the good spot. It's like, we have another spot that needs a window.
Yeah, it's like, how dare you suggest this to me? A window in the not prime spot.
Not above the nursery or whatever.
I love, like, how Prez is in this season. Like, he feels kind of like almost I don't know, I forget what the actual, like, term is, but he's, like, kind of the placeholder for the audience a little bit. Like, we're getting the game back together. We're gonna do it. Reunion tour. Like, he just wants all.
Yeah.
He just wants like literally the same exact people. Really good.
It's so good. So then we fucking Lieutenant Daniels gets put in charge of this investigation because fucking who wants to deal with this?
Yeah. Yep.
And he's sort of, it's kind of in the shit after last year, so he gets put in charge and he brings back most of the gang.
I think it's
Except, McNulty is still stuck in the boat.
yeah.
Don't get McNulty.
Yeah. No, they're just like
He
super.
must suffer.
Yeah, they're so hard after him. No way.
No way, Jack. No way.
And then it's up to the usual shenanigans, really. Like for the gang.
Yeah. And so then the other part of the season with like the drug trade side from last year, like there's important stuff that happens here, but it's definitely background stuff with dealing with Avon and Stringer kind of trying to deal with D'Angelo is moping and feeling bad.
I mean,
and being sad.
not like he's being a good person.
I mean,
like he just doesn't.
Well,
he just wants out.
I mean, also, yeah, he starts doing drugs. He's being sad. Then, like, Avon kills the guy he's getting drugs from. Like,
Well,
it's not.
Avon kills a lot of people with drugs.
Yeah.
He's
D'Angelo's like starts distancing himself.
Well, Avon's like,
So-
hey, so Avon, D'Angelo, Weebay, I think is the other big one. They're all in jail
Yeah.
from the previous season.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, Avon's like, hey, maybe lay off the drugs just for like a few days, like don't do any. And then mysteriously and completely unrelated to that statement, a bunch of people die from a bad shipment of drugs.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And so that's just like,
And it's actually, and it's part of a bigger thing Avon's doing where it's like, now he gets to snitch on how that shipment got in and get some time off.
yeah, they just
pin
it on
reduced sentence.
whatever officer there.
This asshole guard. So
Yeah,
that happens.
I think this side of things, like, it's probably why I didn't like it quite as much on an initial run through, just because you're not seeing how it fits in yet. But
yeah,
I think
like a lot of it, because again, the big crux of it is like the way. Again, it's not even the stuff we've talked about so far. It's the big crux of it is Stringer and Avon's relationship and what goes on between them, and how Stringer tries to run things differently than Avon does.
yeah, this is the start of that. That we see so
kind of
we see it in season 1 for sure, but we see just how we get the first taste of how different they truly are in this season.
Yeah,
and
kind of like
and it's something like at the time I'm like, yeah, but last season you guys are like driving up in cars and shooting people, and like there was a bunch of deals going down, and it was just banging. And now I'm like, Angelo's just being sad for the whole episode. And then what the hell is his mom's name? Avon's sister. I don't. You know though.
Can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm gonna look it up.
Like,
I'll tell you in a minute.
D'Angelo's being sad. His mom is all like, he's family
Brianna.
though. Yeah, Brianna. She's
Yeah.
all like, he's family. Take care of him. And there's no action. At least on that side of things. But in hindsight, of course, it's now I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. Like just being able to know where it goes and seeing those seeds planted.
And I just think it's important to like, again, when you're watching it for the first time, you're like, well, why are we still caring about this stuff? Like, this doesn't. There's like a world in which if we were making a normal TV show, this wouldn't be part of the story.
Yeah.
But because The Wire is building this, is like this novel that's a much wider tapestry. It's important we don't forget any of these characters.
Especially for me, I was like pleasantly surprised. That's like by the time I got like 2 episodes into season 3, and I was like, oh, I greatly misunderstood this. Like I think I mentioned it during season 1, but when my friend told me that it's like each season kind of expands and focuses on a different thing, he probably told me that it keeps the same characters and all that stuff. What I definitely recall and what I probably heard at the time was it gets completely new characters. So I'm like this whole time I'm waiting for them to just drop everybody like an old rag. And they never do.
That's not what happens.
No, it's the exact opposite of what happens. And that's great. It's a good thing. But why are we still here? When does everybody leave or die or something? I don't know.
I mean, people die, but not everyone.
Dude.
There are a lot of people. Like D'Angelo.
D'Angelo dies.
Dunn gets killed.
And
it's just kind of like there are 2 things Stringer does this year that like end up leading to his end. And one of them is like going behind Avon's back to have D'Angelo killed.
Yeah.
Without telling him. Because he's afraid he's going to talk. He's going to flip. Which there isn't. It doesn't really seem like he's going to do. He's just sad.
Not even that. It's like he's just kind of done. Like he just wants to be done with that life. And I got the sense of like, I don't just want to be done. I'm not going to snitch because I don't care. Like I don't want to get involved in any way whatsoever. So yeah. This also like that made me kind of realize like, shit, dude, no one is anyone safe here. Like they killed D.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me this was Game of Thrones, Hank.
I mean, it's Game of Thrones pre-Game of Thrones. Yeah. Except it wasn't popular.
Yeah.
It's a much different thing. So
we're not doing an episode on how the Wire is a weird phenomenon that everybody partakes in.
No. Because it's, critically acclaimed, but didn't get particularly high ratings. It kept getting renewed because it, was good and well liked among critics and stuff. And I don't remember if it got what awards it got.
I brought it up in like class the other day. Yeah, and so we were talking about stuff that's like over. What was the super like the worst things that are successful? So like someone brought up the first thing that a lot of people, The Room, like. That's, in a way, that's success. Maybe not as financial, but like culturally and all of that, wildly successful.
I mean,
compared to how bad
at this point, it's a financial success.
Yeah, as well. Yeah.
Actually, it took a long time, but it's had enough of a. Again, they show that movie once a month in New York still.
Yeah,
they still do showings.
And just I beat myself up because we were he had like a bunch of different mediums listed on the board, and I was gonna bring up Rupi Kaur, the free verse poet that writes like Instagram captions, basically. I forgot to do that. But we were just in our groups, we're talking, and then kind of got talking on like sort of the opposite kind of thing, and that's what I was like. The Wire kind of feels like that in a way. Just to me personally, like super good. I never hear about it. Like I've never had it like brought up randomly in a class before. Meanwhile, every other day it's like someone says something about Game of Thrones.
I mean, The Wire, when it comes up, it's only very positively, but it just wasn't.
I see
it didn't have the views, the raw numbers.
Yeah. A girl at my table though, like, was not a fan. She really didn't like it. Don't know why.
I don't know.
Maybe it's like
she didn't like violence.
Like my parents watched all Game of Thrones. Watched Shameless. A few bad words later, and suddenly The Wire is terrible.
That scene where they say "fuck" the whole time, though.
I don't even, dude.
That's just
they
art.
Didn't even get there. They watched the first episode.
It's like Snot Boogie.
Whoa,
this is too much for me.
That's disgusting. I don't like the feeling I have in my mouth right now. I think it was.
Maybe they don't like tragedy.
I think it was just mostly like the N word made them uncomfortable, maybe. Which is good, I guess. Like it's probably better than the opposite.
That's fair.
But yeah, just not used to that at all. Meanwhile, as young folk with our rap and our hip hop and stuff, MTV,
yes,
our
hip hop,
foul language,
such a recent development.
Yeah. Wait, there was hip hop. Well, are you suggesting there was hip hop before like 2006?
Yes.
Get a load of this guy, everybody. Yeah, it's just that weird, like, it's funny, especially because like it's so. I know if people would just try it, they would probably like it. They would just get past the poopy language, or find a censored version where instead of fuck they say frick.
That'd be.
Imagine
you just hear like one of those like just not even a sound alike.
Just yeah. Like a computer fudge. Yeah. Or do they just like give everybody like when they're going off on like their swearing tangents or whatever, it's just super foul mouth. They just like do like a Southern Canadian, like upper like Northwoods American sort of thing, like friggin'. You're friggin' out of your mind. Classic.
Look, favorite piece of censoring is for the end of Kill Bill Volume 2 TV broadcast that changed cunt to sorry head.
Sorry head?
Yes.
Oh my god. What? They couldn't do like punk?
No.
Or runt?
Sorry head.
They could have. What's the context? Do you remember the exact like line or whatever?
Sometimes you're a real cunt. Like the final.
Sometimes you're
Bill
a real
says.
sorry head.
Yeah.
Jesus. That's unreal, actually. Like, they might as well have just said, like, poopy face. Sometimes you're a real poopy face. Like, just, I mean, go all out if you're going to do something stupid. That's amazing.
Sorry head.
I'm actually, this is making me think of it. Do they use, like, I don't know how acceptable it is to even say, so I'm just gonna beat around it and say like they replaced the N word with W. Like, do they say that at some point? I just remember the scene with Nikki going to, I forget if he's selling or buying, probably selling his drugs or interacting with the guy, and it comes up a few times, like the white people, like, are on the street mimicking the black people.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember, honestly.
It does. I do remember him like saying "yo," and then like laughing to himself and be like, "Yo." I'm like, that's how it starts, man. That's 100%. Like, you know, you do it and it feels good, and then maybe you do it once or twice as a joke.
Oh, yeah.
But just anything really. For me, it was bro. You say it a few times ironically, and then suddenly you're not saying it
Yeah.
ironically,
Uh-huh.
and everybody's bro.
No, that was typing LOL. It's definitely
Ooh. Yeah, that.
most internet slang that I've ever used I started using it ironically,
Oh, you're one of those.
and then yeah, and then eventually just like
I had a big problem.
habit.
I had a big problem with XD. Like, me and actually Peter as well, just the chat room that we were in way back in the day. I still have those chat logs. XD is probably 50% of what any of us were saying. Not my fault that they made like the perfect little emoticon to convey how I feel perpetually.
That's hilarious.
I've only recently allowed it back. Like into my, like occasionally. I'll pump one out occasionally. But
You're like, I think I could do this without it being a problem.
yeah.
I think
Sometimes you'd be surprised though. Sometimes people are still like, "What the fuck? What is it, like 2008? What do you mean XD?" Like, okay, come on, man. It was also a real problem with my mom in particular. Like, when I was young enough to be chatting in this chat room, but still on the family computer, and she's like, "What does XD mean?" I'm like trying to explain it. I'm like, it's like a face. She's like, "What do you mean it's a face? It's XD." I'm like, "No, but like if you look at it sideways, it's like a little face." She's like, "That doesn't make any sense." You know the smiley face, like it's like colon in a parentheses. She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "That's what this is." She's like, "I don't believe you." It's a face. I don't know what to tell you.
you have to draw it on paper and then turn it sideways.
Fine, Mom. You caught me. It means extra drugs. We're saying extra drugs in chat every other line. You got us. Hey, guys,
thing you
what's
had to
up?
say is,
Extra
"No."
drugs.
No, Mom, you don't understand. We're idiots. It's fine.
Oh, my God.
We're just laughing
Available.
at nothing.
Basically, yes. If I don't send the XD, they'll think I'm being not XD. They'll think I'm serious. They'll think I'm colon line break.
I can't send inflections over the internet.
That was.
I need people to know
Yeah.
that things don't matter.
What am I gonna?
My ironic sense of detachment. How am I supposed to convey that?
What am I gonna do, Mom? Just type LOL after everything? I don't think so. That's way too much work. It's so basic.
I really did used to make an effort to type ha 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 every time I thought something was funny.
I mix it up. Like if I notice I've said like,
Yeah.
I will consciously look and be like, okay, I said LOL like twice earlier. I'm gonna do ha ha right now. We're gonna pump one of those in and just keep it fresh.
Now I use it more like haha is when I really think something's funny.
Okay.
That's when I'm really stepping it up.
So I should start calling like if I see you put LOL or something, I should like start calling you out and be like, he doesn't think it's funny, guys. He's putting the fucking placeholder. He doesn't think this is funny.
Yeah, man. That'd be like if we were in real life, I'd say that's funny.
Nice.
Good joke. Not laugh.
Yeah, yeah, just deadpan. Man, that would be an amazing Discord bot. Like teach it what user uses what when they think something's actually funny, and then it like calls them out. Like it tracks when you say ha ha, and it's like this joke was Hank approved or something.
Uh huh.
That'd be pretty good. I mean, it'd be annoying as Christ after like four or 5 minutes, but
it would get spammed. It'd be too much spam.
God bless.
You would need it as like an extension, not an actual
Mm.
bot that types things. You just have to like it like brings up a pop up you can click on.
Yeah, either that or like it keeps track of it in the background, or like copies the message or
Oh
something.
yeah.
Like I don't know, like slash Hank laughs or something, and the bot is like, Hank has found 6 things in chat to be acceptable forms of humor, and then it like brings up them, like it brings up the quotes, or like the previous 3 or something.
That'd be amazing.
Someone's gonna steal this and make money off of it, and then
That's not true.
then we'll have to send LOL in chat instead of haha when we find out, because it's not funny.
It's not funny at all. Single tier.
Single masculine tier.
Masculine tier. Now I feel like James Patterson.
Ugh. You fucking bring that cursed name into this podcast again, sir? Like,
Look, I'm
that's
just
grounds
saying,
to just
when you're
like,
bringing in extraneous adjectives, that's where my brain goes to currently. Because that
feel
is
sick.
that kind of bad writing.
I should like. I mean, a normal person would just disconnect it. So you're welcome for being stronger than the average person.
Stronger than the average bear.
I mean, bears are pretty strong. I don't want to. Well, aside from like, okay, here's the thing. I recognize that a bear is stronger than me, but there's enough Scottish blood in me that I also have like the urge occasionally to be like, if I encountered a bear, I might try to like take it on with my with no weapons. Just see if I could like get onto the thing and like strangle it or something. I don't know.
You would die.
I mean, it'd be an honorable death though.
That's true.
My name is Norman for bare hand. So like,
Nice.
like my last name.
So you're as strong as one bear's hand.
Sounds like fighting words. It sounds like you're about to get bear slapped.
I didn't say I was stronger than a bear's hand.
You both find out. Catch these paws.
So the wire.
Yeah, you know, the topic of the episode.
Yeah. One of the things I really like about the season is Bunk and Lester working together.
Yeah.
They're just they're a good pair of like quality policemen. I like they get saddled with the 13 dead bodies because Rolls is like, we actually need this to get solved.
Yeah, we can't throw this one away, guys. Is this a season where Lester meets Cheryl? Where like she comes into play? I forget. It bleeds
I
together.
don't remember.
Even if it's not this season, now that I mentioned it, I'll spoil.
I think that's last year.
Was it season 1?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, they do bring her in, but he's like still with her, I guess, or they have her do some work or something in a strip club or something.
Because that was the strip club that Avon owned in that first season.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
She's pretty early.
You know what? It's still a good moment. Him like getting that girl is amazing and hilarious.
Yes. Look, man. He makes a lot of money making tiny furniture. He's a baller.
Yeah. What is it like? What like $200 or $300 per thing or something, or like the bigger ones?
Side gig, but he's also just good police. Good police.
That first season like just doesn't say anything, just goes out and takes care of shit, comes back with information. Like, all right, cool. Yeah,
Lester is so good.
seeing him do more stuff, like get more into his, and then like in the future, like for the Wire, just that kind of like getting fully back like into the swing of his old ways or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Following the money.
Yeah, yeah, following the money. And his big, so in the first season, he's, they're all about those pagers, and he's like him
Mm-hmm.
and Prez specifically are like, figuring out these codes. They're looking at stuff. They're kind of the brains of the operation in that regard. And in this
Mm-hmm.
season, they're looking at like their kind of big, like sniff out the pattern situation is they are looking at the seemingly messy paperwork in regards to shipping containers, and there is a computer program that's like pretty simple, like shows the little rectangle shipping container like going off of the boat and onto the thing, and then like where it gets
Yep.
placed. And they can watch in real time as a shipping container gets lost by mistake. So
Yep.
eventually they start piecing all that together, and that's kind of Lester and Prez. Is it? Yeah, it's still like Lester and Prez mainly, I think. And then like Beatty
Mm-hmm.
is the one. Beatty, the kind of foot cop who generally just rolls around in her car on the docks and makes sure nothing's up. She's the
Yep.
one who stumbled on the bodies because the seal on the thing was broken, and she's now pulled into this whole thing. I really like the scene of her like finding the bodies. Just because she goes out immediately and like throws up.
Mm-hmm.
Like that sort of thing is that it's like those little things that this show does that I'm like, I don't think another cop show would do that. It's all like, bullshit from Law and Order CSI or whatever, and they've like, yeah, this terrible thing happened that's absolutely disgusting, inhumane, and like savagery on the lowest level. It's fine. I've seen it all though, so I'll take it strong, and it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't affect me in the least. People here like people get shot, they throw up, like I like those little touches.
Yeah,
Like,
like there's still plenty of characters who are a little more jaded,
oh yeah,
but it's like
absolutely.
the show remembers to have those moments of like someone who's less experienced does not take it the same way
Mm-hmm.
as someone who is more experienced, and like the way in which is this stuff like actually bothers people at like a deep level,
Mm-hmm.
like the way McNulty gets like obsessed with stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah,
Was it? Is it coming, or was it in first season where Kima gets shot?
that's first season.
Okay. Yeah, that was like the other moment, like when they're listening to that audio and someone throws up. Like
Yeah.
touches people being.
Yeah, that's like the big moment of that season
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because that kind of shifts
Oh,
everything that happens
yeah.
after that turns on that.
No, but just those moments, like people being people, you know,
Yeah.
and which absolutely just sticks with the theme, like the ongoing theme in this show
Yeah.
of like, it's never just, even if there are characters that like their role may be like black and white, like
Mhm.
this person is this particular thing. There's infinitely more people where it's so gray, like. No one's ever necessarily just terrible or great in sense of like morality.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the show also like finds time for small normal stuff.
Yeah.
Just like people's lives stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which I've been thinking about a lot because of the great comic book I just read. But that's
Oh, I mean, come on, out with it.
I mean so one of my favorite things about DC's Fourth World stuff, which is Darkseid, is like the big bad, is Darkseid, who's like a space rock monster devil character, basically. Like, he's the epitome of evil. But one of my favorite things is, like, how many times in comic books the story is our heroes come home and Darkseid is sitting on their couch.
Right.
He's just there, sitting on the couch, being himself. And recently I read Mr. Miracle by Tom King, which, like, takes the idea of both does two ideas with the fourth world. One was Grant Morrison's, which is like making that evil a more internal problem than just this dude who is evil,
Mm-hmm.
and also epitomizes the dark side sitting on your couch thing of just like juxtaposing this, like, these gods fighting their war or whatever and all this fantastical stuff with just the most mundane normal shit. So, like, characters like fighting in a war while talking about remodeling their apartment or whatever,
Yeah.
while they're just like piles of dead bodies around them.
I mean, yeah, that's
Like,
that's about on par.
yeah, dude is on trial for his life, and then he's in their, like, small apartment, and there's a vegetable tray. So a character's like just taking a carrot and sticking it in some dip and eating it and saying, "Yep, you're charged guilty and gonna be executed."
Um,
Like, I like that juxtaposition in fiction of finding the, like, making the stakes high, but also like still showing off the most mundane stuff.
um, speaking of trials, Omar continues
Mm-hmm.
being top notch.
Omar is so good.
He just doesn't stop. Like, what is just helping the guard with like the crossword or whatever, and then like has to get a tie to wear. It's so good. What a
Yeah.
continually amazing character. He was actually like, that was the one I was kind of, after I realized that like everybody else was coming back, I'm like, they better bring Omar back. Like, if he's out of this show, then maybe I'm out of this show.
Uh, yeah, and we have got the Omar and Brother Bazone stuff starts here.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, look, we've got a superhero we have to deal with. We got to call in a supervillain.
Yeah. Well, it's like, is that here? I thought they didn't encounter each other yet.
No, this is their first encounter. Is this season? Because I think Cheese and, like, there's the thing with Cheese and Prop Joe's crews, like, being on each other's turf,
Mm-hmm.
and Brother Mazone, like, shows up and just shoots Cheese.
Yeah, with like his custom made bullet or whatever.
Yeah. And then Stringer basically tricks Omar into going after Brother Mazone. And Omar, like, shoots him and then
Oh, right. He
talks to him and then just fucking dips.
Yeah, because he tells Omar that Brother Mazone is the one that like tortured his boyfriend.
Yeah.
Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
Is that this season? I swear to God, that was a later season.
No, that's this season. That's another thing that Stringer does. That's one of the other things that happens this season that's, like, sets up for Stringer's ultimate undoing. It's mistakes.
Yeah, yeah.
Bad call. Bad call, Stringer.
Mm-hmm. I love though, like, Brother Mazone is such a good character. Like, it's just
Yeah.
like just the concept, like his,
Mm-hmm.
you know, his idiot henchman.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
just wants to
the-
read a good paper.
Look, man, he's the educated assassin.
Yeah, it's a good look.
It's pretty good.
There's,
So the other thing, just while I'm on Stringer,
yeah, yeah.
the other big thing is Stringer making a deal with Prop Joe to get better drugs, basically,
Yeah.
because Prop Joe is the one who has the connection with the Greeks getting in this higher quality heroin, and Stringer
Has that prime real
is
estate.
has that prime real estate, and then wants to give up. He sees it as a problem of like, we have to solve this, so we'll give up part of our territory to get this
Yeah.
better supply, so business will just be better. But Avon totally doesn't see that way because he fucking murdered a lot of people to get control of those towers.
Mm-hmm. This is, yeah, it's definitely, of course, in hindsight, it is the groundwork for like Stringer wanting to start running the whole thing more like a business, right? If you
Yeah.
if you
Mm-hmm.
quit murdering people and like quit all of that shit, suddenly you
Yeah.
have less problems with the cops and everybody starts making more money and it's like a whole, that sort of thing. And then,
It's win-win.
yeah, and Avon is having none of that shit.
Yeah, because that's not what got him to where he was.
Yeah.
What got him to where he was murdering people and controlling his
Lots of
territory.
murder. We haven't talked about the most important thing about season 2. There's a duck.
Which is,
Ziggy, fuck up son, gets
oh
a
man,
duck. And like,
yes,
so his big thing throughout the season is like, overall, he just kind of wants to belong. Like, he doesn't want to fuck things up. He tries dealing drugs.
yeah,
He's like steals camp. He tries like kind of smuggling stuff. He does whatever, and he never like fits in with the guys at work or anything like that.
mm-hmm.
And one of his attempts that actually works fairly well is he gets this duck, and like he get it like a diamond something or another. I thought he got it like a
Yeah,
diamond
like a
necklace.
necklace.
Yeah, and then he's like buying it drinks at the bar. Well, of course the duck
Yeah.
fucking dies because he's feeding the thing whiskey. Like.
Fucking idiot.
But like until that point, like everyone is laughing like with him instead of at him, like he's the funny guy.
And
And his
then the duck dies, and then everyone's sad.
yeah, and then Ziggy goes bad.
Yeah,
His character was so interesting though, like just how he handled things and what they decided to do with him.
yeah. It's one of the, like, he gets involved in this criminal activity, and you're just like, it's gonna go bad. You're like, you don't.
Like he just doesn't have
You
the,
have such thin skin, and you don't
Yeah.
have leverage. So basically, he tries to make this deal on his own to steal these cars and then sell them, and then at the end, the guy does not pay him what they had agreed upon. But of course he does. Like, what leverage does Ziggy have at this point?
yeah.
The guy isn't fucking scared of fucking Ziggy. So then Ziggy kind of loses it and shoots the guy.
Yeah. But then like immediately loses his composure and like turns himself in and do it and all of that.
Yep.
Which
So
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I liked it.
yeah,
liked
I mean,
that
he snaps
Yeah.
basically. He murders that guy completely just out of anger, and then immediately is like, oh god, what did I do?
like that yeah, that instantaneous like I shouldn't be in this world. Like this is not my realm.
Yeah,
Like
instant regret.
yeah. And I think one of my favorite things that like ended up making I guess not the Greeks fall apart necessarily, but like kind of what's the term I'm looking for? It like provided the one of the last keys to the lock for, Lester and the gang was not Sergio. What's the Russian dude that they always call Boris? No, not Sergio. I don't think. Sergey, something. Anyway, Russian dude,
I don't
Ukrainian dude.
remember. Yeah.
And when like someone accuses him of killing someone, he's like, "It wasn't us. Did he have his hands? Did he have his face? Then it wasn't us."
That's such a good line.
Like
That line is so fucking
it's
good.
so great, and then it's just better because it's true.
It's also the thing that like gets him busted for those murders.
Yeah, because then someone's like, "Huh." And they go and they're like, "Give me all of the John Does or John Smiths that don't have a head or hands." There's a surprising amount.
Yeah, because that's the other thing is, so the cops are investigating these murders, but the person who did this, like the Greeks immediately know who it was because he destroyed their property, basically, in their eyes.
Yeah.
And they've already murdered him. Like, we get the scene of them
Yeah, dude died along.
brutally killing him.
Ugh, I didn't like that. It was Breaking Bad all fucking over again. Don't. Oh god, it's that episode where Gus has the box cutter and he just slits the dude's throat, and I'm like, oh, it didn't have to be like this. Could have warned me. Ugh. I want to put on a turtleneck. I want my.
I've got a box cutter here. Is that helpful?
Jesus. Dude, I actually just straight up don't like box cutters like at all. Ever since seeing that in Breaking Bad, like, can you cut this cardboard? Can you cut the cardboard? I don't want it. Just keep it away from me, dude. This also like kind of introduced. It drives it home, I guess. It's not subtle about it, but sort of something that Stringer finds out a bit later in the series of like, they don't, no matter how much territory you own, you're selling these drugs, you're doing whatever, you don't really own shit. Like, we quickly see like the political side of things, like we meet the people who do own things, like who do run these systems, and like they kind of, the Greeks kind of play into that, just like, and obviously they're still dealing things and doing illegal. They're not exactly politicians, but like just that insane level of like, you don't actually do anything here. We do things here. And you have our permission to do things here right now. Like, I don't know. That's kind of a, that, I don't know, like that bigger fish concept that I enjoy. Like, yeah. Punk. Ha.
I think David Simon once described The Wire as like, it's just tragedy, but instead of gods, there are systems.
Yeah.
Like political systems are the things that are fucking everyone at their whim.
Yep.
There's a direction I was going. Oh yeah. Right. So the other, and like kind of the last piece of this puzzle is when the FBI get involved, because international terrorism stuff comes up, and so it's all like we may be is that the line, we may be assholes, but there are a lot of us.
Yeah. Yep.
And the FBI gets involved, but so that's like, at first that seems like great, but it turns out that the head of the Greeks is an informant for the FBI, because fucking of course he is.
Well,
so he ends up getting kind of, he gets the heads up from the higher up.
I didn't think
higher up in the FBI about what's going on.
I didn't think he was an informant. I thought he just had that connection.
Well, he has that connection because he's an informant about terrorism stuff.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's an ongoing theme that I mean, it's certainly grounded in whatever level of reality, but just that, like, does it involve terrorists? No. See ya. Like, we can't do much. That early 2000s, like...
Yeah, post 9/11, the FBI focused in a way that is stupid.
A lot of
Kind of.
I mean, yeah, yeah.
Like,
That's
well, just because again, part of the wire is all this shit is connected. If you're ignoring part of it or only focusing on this
Mhm.
at this particular angle, you're probably missing the bigger picture.
Yeah. Like the constant theme of like we just want more hand-to-hand drug busts. Like, okay,
Yes,
fine.
sure.
We'll take out the little guys and it will never ever stop for all of eternity.
Yeah, it'll change nothing. So that's kind of what ends up stopping the investigation because the Greeks they get a whiff of the police being onto them and they're like, "Wait, we out?
Yeah.
Peace." They throw their phones in the water like immediately. They just dip.
Yeah, no,
And that
they're
kind of
and that's I don't know. That bigger fish.
because they have the luxury of doing that.
Yes.
This port was useful to them as long as it was useful to them.
Yeah, no, that like that's kind of as I think I started saying it like super early on in this episode and I didn't ever finish it. But like that sort of love hate with we I wanted to know so much more about them. I wanted to see them come back and like get that background and all like I wanted the juicy details, but we never do. And in a way that's better. Just like fuck,
Yeah.
these guys are big. Like they don't have to give a fuck. And that's
Yeah.
like it's also good, obviously.
Yeah.
That imagination.
Yeah. They were not a part of Baltimore.
Yeah, no.
Baltimore mattered to them for specific reasons, and then
And then it
once
didn't.
that started to come undone, it didn't matter anymore.
Yeah. That no, which is like I think probably I don't know. I don't want to get too like why are the curtains blue, but I like a bit of symbolism like they don't give a shit about Baltimore, but everybody else that we see in the show kind of is like tied to the city.
Yeah.
That's sort of a contrast. Like doesn't matter if you're a policeman, a drug dealer, politician, whatever, everybody's like in Baltimore.
Yeah. Even like to the point of like with characters having to leave but just not wanting to.
Yeah. Yeah, like it just I could be safe if I left, but I'm not leaving.
Nah.
I'm not staying away.
Yeah.
That's part of why it's
Where
good,
else
man.
would I go? That's a line Nick says at the end of this
Yeah.
when he goes back to like the union place to see what's up. At the very end, it's like where the fuck else am I gonna go?
Yeah.
It's definitely one of the themes,
Yeah.
and I like that. Like in this season, they're undone because of the higher ups in their system again, their investigation, but it's not like intentional. It's not just someone fucking them
Yeah.
and being petty about it, because like Valchek totally would, but
Oh, dude, yeah.
when he finds out they're trying to go above
Oh my
Sabatka, he
God.
is so mad.
I fucking yeah,
Yes.
that was such a piss off. You're trying to do actual police work instead of busting this asshole that I don't like? How dare you?
Yeah, how dare you? And then Prez punches him, and that's the end of Prez as a police officer.
Yeah. That was so good though. God, it was fucking satisfying.
It was very good.
Wasn't there like a bunch of like it didn't turn out as bad as it could because like everybody witnessed him being a dick. So like he couldn't do as much as he wanted to punish him.
Uh-huh.
Hell yeah.
There were a lot of people there.
There was so many. Yeah, man.
Yeah, so then it's still like the system is still the thing that undoes them.
Yeah.
It's the leak.
And just
It's like even though these guys are international smugglers, they're also useful. They're also like connected to this higher up FBI guy.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go up, problems. Once you follow that money, you never know where it's going to lead.
Yeah, man.
That kind of thing. Things are more complicated than you.
But they still
And intertwined.
they still solve the Jane Does.
They do.
They get.
They do.
Oh, did I?
They basically they pin it on someone, but
Okay. I thought my mic was going robot-y for a second.
no, it's okay.
God bless. Yeah, like they don't get they don't get exactly what they wanted, but it like a little taste of victory.
Yeah, and I like at the end, when Lester is like pulling down all their stuff off their board and putting it in the box for that case. He just looks at the photo of the Greek question mark and just leaves it there.
Yeah.
That's the
Dude, when he's in the background of that picture though, just happened to get a picture of him is like the fuck. It's really good.
like when he's getting on the plane at the end. He's like, "Business or pleasure? Business. Always business."
He's such a good character. Like it's just perfect.
Yeah. Well, I like that. Like Nick is like kind of likes them.
Yeah.
Like and like Spiro likes him. Like they kind of, but Frank is like
Yeah,
not.
he's definitely
he's not impressed.
Yeah, he's there because he has to be.
Yeah. And then the thing that ends up undoing Frank is Ziggy, because he's like ready to tell the police everything, but
yeah,
they basically lure him into a meeting with the promise of being able to save Ziggy from jail.
pop.
But again, they get word from the FBI that he's agreed to all this stuff. It's like, nah, we're not going to let you live.
Yeah.
Your way will not work. That's what the Greek says to Spiro. Mm-hmm. Spiro's like, Frank's a good guy.
That like
should let him live.
That like thing, like it's like right as he gets there, isn't it? That they get that phone call.
Yeah.
Like, nope, this isn't gonna work.
Your way will not work.
Then, you know how the story goes. Non-stop pop.
Yep. And we get that montage in the last episode of everything's still exactly the same. Yep. City keeps moving. Women are still being brought in on trucks. Like, nothing has really changed.
Yeah.
The Union is still dying. But time keeps rolling. What a good show.
What a great show.
And again, it's those montages of like just the city in motion that are one of the things that stick with me the most. And like whenever I see that kind of thing show up in something else, I'm like, you watch The Wire. I see you.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man.
Again, even Game of Thrones with like, there's a thing in Game of Thrones about breaking the wheel. And that's what those montages are. That's the wheel.
Yeah.
Turning. But I think that's a podcast.
Yeah, man.
So you can email us, saltcirclepodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at saltcirclepod. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcast, Spotify at Salt Circle Podcast, and our episodes are hosted at anchor.fm/saltcircle, and you can find me on Twitter at Comic Panels.
And I am on Twitter at bean_LP.